All right, and we do have a special guest with us today, Ryan Sullivan from Directory Toolkit. He's been such an all-star and such an asset, both in the Facebook group, and he's started his own weekly webinars. Super high value. Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and unmute your microphone here. How you doing today, Ryan?
Doing great. Thanks, Jason, for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us. You know, the tip of the week is ways to monetize and really tackle and look at ways to monetize your directory and how to increase membership revenue. Can you tell us a little bit about Directory Toolkit first? This is a site that you run and manage, and what people can get from that website that you have there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jason. So directorytoolkit.com, I think of it as more of an ecosystem, I guess, for directory owners to help participate in the community. It's not just about me, it's about everybody in the BD community. And I think it's one of the better things about your company is that it's really a community that help each other out. And so what I'm trying to do with Directory Toolkit is to offer up an opportunity for other BD members that have business services, whether it be doing writing articles for people or have other services that they provide, to be able to list them on the site and to get some traffic for those things that they provide as well, whether it be creating images. We've got the directory app there, just some other stuff that people have available. And then I also just offer other tips and tricks and videos and code and just stuff that people can do stuff on their own as well if they don't want to hire a developer. And then obviously I help out people set up their site and do customizations if they can't do some stuff on their own as well. And so we do offer that as well. So just a lot of things down the pike. Like you said, we give webinars every week on Thursdays at 1:30 Eastern at directorywebinar.com. You can check that out and register. And we just have some other resources. We'll continue to evolve and add those over time for people of the BD community.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing what you guys are doing there. It's one of the most feature-rich sites I've seen that specifically focus on how to really grow a directory or membership community. So kudos and hats off to you there for that. If it's okay with you, I'd like to pass over the presentation to you, and you could run us through some of these amazing tips that you've put together for us here.
Sure, thanks, Jason. I'll be glad to. So today we're going to talk about monetizing your directory, and kind of I'm glad you guys went over that last week about kind of talking about the checkout page and some do's and don'ts. And so I'm going to kind of piggyback off from that and kind of talk about the monetizing your directory this evening for everybody. So there's been a lot of chatter lately on the Facebook forum on how to get traffic from Google, because people think that sometimes that's the end all be all. They need to get traffic from Google in order to have a successful business. And it can be a nice source of traffic for your directory, and everybody knows that. But in reality, a lot of times making money is not just a lack of that Google traffic that you really don't entirely control. It's often due to a lack of understanding or maybe execution by other real businesses activities that the directory owners can control, and then that they're not really focusing on when they're running their business as well. So today, I wanted to focus on a few of those business items, hopefully to give everybody that's listening here tonight maybe a little more, think a little bit more deeply about how they're running the business, what they're doing with their own processes, maybe what they're offering to their clients, and then how to help them monetize their directory more efficiently, I guess is what I would say, than they are right now by looking at a few things. And I have them on the screen here, and that's what we're going to try to go over tonight. The 3 business model questions, we'll go over that. The 3 C's of increased revenue that you need to focus on in order to get more money out of your directory. 3 customer funnel focuses, and then we'll end up with the what I call the 3D multi-axis monetization, maybe just a little bit different thought process on how to monetize your directory. So before I get too far in tonight, or if anybody has to leave or feels like they're getting confused on anything I'm going over today, I just want to let you know that it will be available for everybody in a convenient ebook that you can download at any time. So it's kind of a part ebook, part workbook to kind of get you to think about and actually write in, answer some questions about the things we're talking about today. And it's available at directorytoolkit.com/monetize, or if anybody's quick draw on their phone camera, you guys can scan that and download that immediately as I'm doing the presentation. So the first question, the first 3 is the 3 business model questions. So usually everybody knows, what niche or audience they're going to do their directory from. That's usually the first thing they get a directory for a particular niche. So they already know who their target customer is, and that's usually the easy part, right? But then you have to ask yourself 3 questions: is what do I offer the customer? How do I create the value proposition in that? And then why will it generate revenue? And so Patrick talked about those first 2 items a couple weeks ago when he was on, and kind of deep dive on that. And that was good, talking about those first couple things with the customer avatar and testing out, what you're providing to the customer, what value you're providing, or what problem you're solving, and to see if there's a market for it, right? To see if that's even a business that you want to get into. And so now that you have the right audience and you're creating that value, and you could be solving their problems, but really the execution and profit comes from that 3rd question there, and that's the why. And so tonight I'm going to focus on that 3rd question, the why does it make money, and explain the 3 things that every directory business has to focus on in order to increase that revenue. And so before I get too in depth on that, I thought we'd just get super basic, right? And I mean, this is very basic. The goal of every successful directory is to be profitable. I think everybody would agree with that. You want high revenue, you want low expenses, and you want to create as high as profit as you can. But I think the important thing is that you want to think about as we go through the topic tonight is that, what profit do you want to have from your directory? Do you want to have a high profit now, or do you want to put all of it back into the company? Are you fine? Do you have another job, or is this your primary resource? And so you have to think about that. I mean, you may be surprised to find out that those 12 huge companies on the right there did not make any profit in 2019, 0. In fact, a lot of them had huge losses. I mean, these are big companies like Airbnb, Dropbox, Peloton, Pinterest, Uber, Zillow, right? And they did not make any money, but they could have turned a larger profit. And indeed, they did have a lot of revenue, but they were just less focused on expenses because they want to focus on growth and putting it back into their business. So keep in mind that, reducing your expenses or how much you're actually profiting by putting back in the business can have just as much impact on your actual or current profit that you're getting for the company. And obviously has impacts for future growth as well. But today we're going to focus on that revenue portion at the top and try to go a little bit more in depth on that. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see is how can I get more revenue? They're always trying to reduce those expenses, right? But how do I get more revenue? So that's what we're going to focus on for tonight. So before you guys get scared about looking at this graph here, I just wanted to, it's gonna be easier than you think just by looking at this. But a lot of times what I don't think people realize is that there's an actual natural growth ceiling or maximum revenue that anybody that's doing a directory, or I mean even you, Jason, as a SaaS company, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. There's a ceiling that you're gonna hit unless you change something. So the understanding that you're going to be able to get from this, it should drive all your decisions and focus for your business activities and expenses. Basically, everything that you guys do should be based off from this, and I'll show you why. So everybody here probably has launched their directory, or they're in the process of doing so. A lot of you probably already have customers, and you're getting new clients every month. And it seems like you're on that green line to millionaire status, right? The early growth is that green straight line, and it looks like you're going to become a millionaire, right? But we all know it's not that easy. Not everybody has the same clients that come back month after month. You're going to lose customers, right? And so the churn of those lost customers basically offsets the new customers that you painstakingly gain every month. And that creates that real client curve that you guys see there in blue, right? It's actually curved. It's never straight. And so as you lose people over time, that's the real curve of reality. And so the more clients you get over time, hopefully you're getting more and more clients over time, the more people you have in your business, the more you actually lose the next month, because assuming you have that same churn percentage of people leaving every month, the more people you have, the more people you inherently lose. And so pretty soon that number that you're losing grows closer and closer to that amount that you gain every month, because you don't add any additional salespeople, or you're only one man deep as a solopreneur. And so over time that curve approaches what that red line is called that growth ceiling. And that's basically that limit or that maximum number of customers that you're ever going to be able to have as a small business. And so based on the average amount of money that you're making for a customer either over the month or the lifetime, that zero growth limit of customers also means that that's a maximum amount of revenue that you're ever going to be able to have. And so based on what you're charging or what you're getting, that's a certain number, right? And so it's never that smooth for that blue line. It's obviously jumps back and forth month to month, depending on what niche you're in, depending on what sales you're doing, depending on time of the year. But in general, that's a reality that most of us are living, right, as the directory owners, and it's real math. It's actual numbers that you can calculate. But it doesn't mean it's a foregone or destiny of stagnant income, and you can change that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But the only thing that you can change are those three things that we see in this graph here. You either have to, first, you have to reduce the number of customers you're losing. So you have to reduce that churn. Number two, you got to increase the number of new customers you're acquiring so it outpaces the people you're losing. Or the third one is you need to increase the revenue that you get from every customer. It's got to be one of those three. You got to reduce the churn, get new more customers, or increase revenue. So I know it's pretty complicated there, but we'll look at the graph here and just kind of show you and just dumb it down. So it's those three things in green there. It's that simple. The 3 C's of increased revenue are the only things you really need to focus on to make more money. So I'm not going to focus on the math here. You guys can look at this on the ebook to look at the example data. But just as an example, if you give a 20% churn, you're losing 20% of your customers that aren't coming back the next month. You're gaining 10 customers a month just on your sales or whatever ads or whatever process you're doing, and you're getting $100 per client every month. The most you're ever going to make is $5,000 a month. So is that enough? Is that going to sustain, losing your other job or having the employees if you're starting to get that, or allow you to have another employee? I mean, that's something important to know, obviously, for everybody doing the math on that. And often people are making business decisions on math, that curve will never support. And so it's important to kind of know that. And so I circled those important factors in the math there in green, those three things: the churn, the customers, and the conversions, just to kind of show you those are the three things you need to focus on. But if your money curve is limited due to one of those things, you may not be, bringing in enough people. You may not be providing services enough to keep them, and they're just leaving because you're not providing them what they need or solving that problem. And then sometimes it's a combination of both. So a lot of times people just think it's SEO and they're not getting enough people. That's the middle one, right? Not getting enough members. But sometimes it's that you're not keeping the people you do have, or the people that you do have, you're not getting enough money out of them because they're not providing them with additional things to buy or purchase or to stay in your ecosystem. So sometimes a lot of people are bailing water with a holy bucket on this one because they think it's one thing, and it may be one of the other reasons that's causing them to lose that income and not really get to the point that they want to get to with their business.
And I just want to chime in here, Ryan. First, for those who may not know what churn is, it effectively means customers who are canceling or don't want to pay the following month, so they're not paying customers anymore. So you want to reduce the churn rate, the cancellation rate of your customers. And I think when you're looking at these 3 C's, sometimes it could become a bit overwhelming because you don't know where the problem is. So when you are looking at these different elements, it's sometimes better to tackle one at a time and make one really strong, get it in a really good place, and then move on to the next area where, like you said, you're leaking water in a way, and then focus on improving that. So if you're having a hard time keeping customers, maybe you need to figure out first how to add more value before you focus on how to sign up more customers in the first place. So selecting one at a time to work on might be a better approach than trying to lose your mind and focus on all of these at once.
Right, and that's true. It's kind of the old math thing, right? You don't want to have multiple variables. You gotta have the other ones constant, right? So
Exactly.
The problem is a lot of those aren't constant, right? But they're easy to know, right? You know that of how many people are not coming back and paying you, the second month. They sign up for the first month and then they leave. So you have that data, and the reality is too, and something for everybody to know is that the reality really becomes clearer over time. You're not going to have all the answers at the beginning. You may not know how much every customer is going to get you over the month, and the averages after you've had your business for longer. You start to see how much revenue those general average members are coming in, and it helps you do the math because you just don't know at first. And so that's great advice. Just focus on one thing, try to improve it to help your business out. So the focus is simple on that last slide, right? It sounds like the 3 C's, and it seems like a simple focus even at that level, but we know that the execution is not, right? It's very complex. There's a lot of different things you could be doing for each one of these things. So zoomed out a little bit, right, on that customer funnel in terms of getting extra customers, and the at the beginning of this funnel of getting them, the middle, where you keep them, and then at the end of growing them and getting more customers, right? There's a lot of stuff that you have to focus on potentially as a business to either focus your time, your money on. There's a multitude of options that you probably aren't doing correctly and can fix and position within your niche, or maybe it would be an advantage in your niche vice another one. So a lot of stuff to do. But tonight I want to focus on the right-hand side of that customer funnel and talk about growing customers and how to get that extra revenues. Because if you can refine and position your offerings to allow continued opportunities for your best and loyal clients to continue to patronize your business and try to win them and get more money from the clients who've already proven that they like what you offer, then that can again kind of holding the other variables constant, that can kind of help you maybe out with the churn on the other side, that you're always trying to work on ads, get additional people in there. But if you can get additional income coming from the clientele you're starting to build up, that can kind of offset the rat race on the other side of the funnel there sometimes for people. So it's just that I find a lot of people don't focus on that. They think of just you've got them in the membership and then you move on and you kind of focus back on the get customers funnel. And there's other people that have already proven that they've paid you over on the right-hand side that a lot of people just neglect or don't offer them additional opportunities to get services that you're willing to provide them.
And it's a fundamental fact. It's actually more economical to focus on keeping an existing customer than trying to bring on a new customer in many cases as well. So yeah, focusing on the right side of this image here can actually be more economical than the left side in some cases and times.
We had a previous tip of the week, 6 easy ways to reduce cancellations and keep members happy. I think that plays right into this. So I'll go ahead and post the link for that in the chat so you guys can check that out later. But that, again, focuses on the right side of this diagram.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of like the train, the momentum thing, that it's easier to keep the train going, the people that are on the tracks, than to try to get another train on the tracks or get it moving. So ultimately, if you can, if everybody comes on board and is giving you, money, you obviously have these cohorts or people that are joining this month and then another group that are joining the next month or the next year. The nirvana of that, if you're getting more money over time from each group, is a thing called, and again, I'm throwing out a bunch of business terms tonight, but it's called net negative churn. But it doesn't matter what the term there. The bottom line is that just means that the expansion of the money you're getting from the retained clients, the clients that keep coming back, that you're providing additional service to over time, is outpacing the revenue that you're losing from the people that are just not coming back. So those people that are coming, paying, and then leaving the next month and they're gone forever, the other clients that came in at the same time as them that are continuing to use your company, your directory, your services, are increasing the amount that they pay you over time. And there's a varied ways to do that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if they outstrip the people that you're losing, it actually ends up looking like this. And so here's a famous graph from Slack that they published. And they experience plenty of churn just like we do on our membership levels. But the annual cohorts that are colored in colored bands here, just because they increase the number of people in their business and they have to add different seats to their membership levels, or they go to a bigger plan because their companies grow over time, they actually have increased growth from each cohort every year. And when you do that, when you stack year after year of increased stuff on it like that, it ends up being exponential. And so I don't expect my company or anybody necessarily listening to exhibit that type of growth. Obviously, Slack is a different type of company, but it can provide some inspiration, hopefully, to the importance of increasing that revenue growth from long-term customers. Because if you're able to outpace the other side of the funnel there and over time, and you stack them up over time, that's when you can kind of eclipse that status where maybe you can do this full time or move from your other job, or maybe you can hire that first person, or you can provide additional benefits. So hopefully that can provide some inspiration, but that's the key. That's the point. That's what everybody's trying to do, is get more money from the customers that they have. So we kind of talked about membership levels last week, the do's and don'ts. And so it all starts with those membership levels, right? That's the first thing everybody thinks about. And so most of the ways that we try to get more money is just everybody normally does the, pay more, get more kind of setup. through the memberships for the feature levels. And in that method, basically, they choose the type of membership they want, and then based on the benefits that are offered. And then over time, your clients grow, hopefully, to a waiting plan that has more benefits that they're able to grow to into later. So sometimes it may work for some people, but sometimes I see people just go too simple almost. You don't want to get too complex, but if there's only a free and a paid plan, that you're kind of stuck. They're just paid, and then they don't have anywhere to go. So maybe just always have three. Just have that one that has that Uber plan that most people can't get, but maybe some can. You always want to have the people that are able to grow into that higher price plan to be able to have an offering that they can do that, right? Because you're just kind of putting money on the table if you don't have anywhere for them to grow. You see on the screen here just the naming stuff. This comes up all the time, so it's provided this in the ebook as well. Just some names to think about for naming conventions on how you do that, because it can change maybe what they're willing to pay for the service, what they think they're going to get out of it, and it helps you maybe position what that is going to offer to them. And I know, Jason, you're big on this, and you've mentioned this before, that the names that you pick for your plans hopefully have to make sense to your market and what the main core benefit of that plan is when they get that. And so if they're able to see themselves in that plan, or it's very easy to understand the value immediately, it's also easier to make the sale, tell them to that on a pitch call, and be able to explain to them what that is. Because if it's too generic and it just says basic level, they always ask, like, basic what? Is it a basic listing? Is it a basic profile, basic features? I don't know what that means. But if it says something very clear, like enhanced marketing plan or whatever, they can kind of know, oh, this is about marketing. I'm going to be able to market my business. And they can basically tell themselves, I've got to have that. That's the plan I fit into. So just consider that. Here's some on the screen, some examples of what you can potentially use for different naming conventions, but it's kind of up to the niche. It doesn't have to be, it's not all about the name, but you want the features in that plan to fit the name and to fit the delineations of why they would pay more for another plan by, the one in the middle or the free one. And then a lot of directory owners, when they get into BD, I don't think they fully understand the amount of customization, Jason, that you guys provide, for the directory owners. There's literally probably 50 items that you can turn on, set up to customize, turn on or off, or to delineate the tiers. And that's before you even add anything that the business provides. So even if it's not a setting for BD, it's maybe 20 other things that you provide as a business that, as a feature outside of the construct of the actual directory. So, but the problem is you don't want to just list all those features out on a 3-page list, right? You need to focus your items for your niche that'll make the decision for people to buy easier, and that people for that particular plan would want. And then maybe something that you don't add to the free plan, right? If everybody wants it, maybe you don't put it on the free plan, because if everybody wants it, then maybe that's something that they're willing to pay for. If it's something a large business would need, make sure you put it on the highest tier so that those bigger businesses have to, spring for the higher amount to get that little bit of thing that they want in your niche in order to get that. So think about, usually this is part of the thought that people don't put much thought into, which things go in which tier. And there's usually a couple key points for your niche that are going to make or break their decision on whether they're going to go for a higher price tier. And you always want to put that at the highest level possible for that thing, that if it's going to clip them over to a higher paying plan, then that's where you want to put it. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but it's not always about just the bronze, silver, gold plans, and you don't necessarily have to put it in a plan. Sometimes you can change it as a bonus or an add-on, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. But just realize these are important. You got to think about them. This is what makes or breaks on whether people buy certain levels or not. And sometimes you want to focus on the critical ones and not save other ones for the featured plans, or again, potential future upgrades as well, because I know you guys are always big on telling people not to throw the kitchen sink in right away, right? You got to allow them to have additional benefits over time, and again, that could help you upsell or provide additional funding later as well, just using the resources that BD naturally provides.
Yeah, that was a good point. Naturally provides. There are two add-ons that I think also tie into creating differentiation between membership plans. One is the members only add-on. You can create and protect certain pages of your site. So only members of a certain tier have access to that specialized content. And then one more thing is if you are encouraging your members to post like articles or events or job listings, or photo albums, there are add-ons where you can limit the maximum number of posts they can publish, and then encourage them to upgrade to a higher tiered plan for more access as well. So I just wanted to chime in and mention those as well.
Yeah, all good and true. And obviously, that you end up getting like four things for every post type, right? Can they do it, or can they view it? Can they post it? Can they how many photos, right? And so there's a lot of things for each particular one as well. And it does get complex, and that's why you want to put the ones that matter to your niche in there and know what that is, and not put everything in there. So like I said in the last slide, it's not only just that one axis. People always think about that first axis, or the width, right? The plan tiers that we just talked about, small, medium, large. But a lot of times it's not just that. That's like what most people do. If you're trying to get additional revenue from your clientele or from your niche, you got to think in 3D. And so I just want to talk about a couple of those other axes tonight. And the second one is depth, right? So you guys have the add-ons for and a bunch of other stuff that can be turned on independent of a membership level, or can be added into a membership level that isn't in the first type, but it is in another membership level that's just a depth of that. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have more seats or more locations, like a multi-business listing, or maybe it's the exact same membership plan, but one has additional locations if they pay for the higher tier plan. So it could be the same features. You just have one membership level has an additional thing turned on. And so people would normally think of that as just a larger package, like, well, I'll just make that the large package. Well, don't make it the large package, make it an add-on for all three packages. So maybe you have a small, medium, large, and then a small, medium, and large multi-business. So you end up with 6 membership plans, but you kind of add that depth, something you would normally add as a feature for just the first access. You're adding it as a depth access for everybody, and it just kind of adds some additional monetization thing that you would have normally lumped in with the other plans, just as an additive potential money multiplier for any of the plans. And then the third axis is height, and the way to basically use that is add-ons, right? So you can use the BD paid add-ons for other metrics that aren't your key ones, right? Those other ones that didn't make the list for differentiating between the things, just smaller ones, but you can get additional money. So why have only the top tier respond to reviews, right? Maybe you make every tier pay extra for that. Again, maybe that's the additional thing you turn on for one of those. You want the small package, and you want to be able to reply to reviews, that you want to pay for that. You can pay for that separately, and we'll move you from the small to the small plus reviews. You mentioned some of the other ones for the paying for additional posts or paying for additional capability. You can tag or add on all of that stuff on there, and there's a lot more of them that BD provides. You can pay to be featured on the homepage, right? You can pay for an ad. There's a lot of stuff that are independent of the membership level settings that you can just add on there. Don't include those in the package. Use it as an add-on. So that's what I meant by in the previous slide is it a feature? Is it an add-on, or is it a bonus? You can give some of those things away as benefit, and so you can make a value up of something, right? Answering reviews is normally a $50 value. I'm going to give you that free upgrade. If you do X, Y, or Z, or if you put my sticker up in your window, if you send out the link to your email list, if you provide a link back to our website. So you can almost, I don't say print your own money, but you can create a value from that, provide that to other businesses, and then try to get something in return, and that can save you real money as well. And then the final thing is kind of the fourth dimension, if you will, the dimensional thing, and that's where you can go really crazy and add whatever you want from other people, but you can sell your own solutions or other services, right? Maybe it's direct mail, maybe it's your SEO stuff, maybe you're doing websites design for people. Maybe you design their ebooks or checklists. Or you can sell other partner solutions, right? You're going to link to a partner with, do affiliate earnings from other partners in the industry. So the sky's the limit on that and what you guys do. Again, it depends on what niche you're in and your capabilities. But a lot of times people don't avail themselves of that as well. And there's a lot of opportunity lost there. And you don't have to get gimmicky, right, on this stuff. It's literally you can do partnerships, trade, get some additional exposure on people that have a larger email list than you do. Again, going back to the print your money thing, you create a value of something and then provide somebody who has some influence that for free, and then you can get some of that traffic. And again, that's where it maybe gets exponential because you get a lot more people in there paying customers than that little bit of value that you gave away to them for free, because they probably weren't going to use you anyway if you didn't provide it, for free. So there's always some additional advantages you can get from other people there as well. So the biggest thing on this slide is you can do is just think past the small, medium, and large. Don't include everything in the major packages. Think of depth, breadth, and fourth dimension when you guys are doing that stuff, and hopefully that'll avail you of additional opportunities to make money.
And just a key thing here is, and this is really, really great, is when you're, I guess, advertising those additional add-ons or services that can be that you can include with the membership plan. Let's just use reply to reviews as an example. You can make that its own standalone product, like Ryan is suggesting. But what you want to do is when you advertise that product, you have to explain the benefits, why it's important, what they're missing out on by not having that extra tool as part of their subscription with your site. So that also ties into creating demand. And I think you're going to talk about value propositions soon, Ryan, correct?
Yeah, well, that's kind of one of those other two questions, I guess.
Right.
We'll go over that in review a little bit more, I guess. But you want to create that value of what you're providing them, and like you were saying, you want to create demand. Maybe you do both. Maybe that a reply to reviews is normally in the large plan and it's not in the medium and small, and you open it up for a limited time only that you can get it for an add-on for this much, even as a small or medium plan. Again, if that's something that everybody in that niche potentially wants, you just offer it up for a limited time, and then it just goes away, and then you bring something else back, right, or bring that back next year. But it's something that you actually offer. It's in the large plan, but you can kind of bypass that right now if you get that add-on, and then you create that demand, and then it does just go away. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So finally, I just want to end up tonight again with just a few ways, kind of getting to that full circle. Now that we've talked about the three-dimensional diagram there of monetization, what are some other things that other directory owners are doing in order to utilize that? And here's just a few ways some of our clients have started to monetize the directory. And obviously, not all these are not applicable to every site or niche, but hopefully there's something in here for everybody. And usually a successful directory is not just the directory alone. And this is probably the biggest lesson I think that's always stressed, is that the directory is more like a catalyst for something, for a particular group. Or a particular business that is looking to expand, and they're using the directory as a launching pad, as a group of members on Facebook that you're able to capitalize off from. It usually is very hard just to start with the directory alone, or you always want to think about, again, having other stuff that you can do that you can create additional revenue for your directory. And so here's just a couple of one. You can sell memberships, you can sell courses, consulting, and that's the obvious one, right? But it's not just those memberships on there. You can sell any product or service that you have that you've created in order to add profit. And again, these are additive, right? If you create something or you have something, you can then the next month make something else and sell that too, and it's all additive. You can ask for donations. You've got a lot of nonprofits, a lot of people that are small. They're just doing this because it's a passion of theirs. And they don't feel like they're charging, or they are, and there's not many people, but they want to earn more money. So there's a lot of them that just ask for donations. So, it doesn't mean that people aren't willing to help support you. You just have to ask. And they've had some good success with that. So don't feel afraid, if you don't want to charge them, just ask for donations. You'd be surprised if you're providing that service for your niche that people need. And then you can sell ads. That's obvious that you can do that with BD, and you guys have that built-in ads area. But a lot of people don't realize it's unlimited. Really, those are just the 7 built-in ones or 9, whatever it is. But you can really get unlimited with custom widgets and put as many as you want anywhere. So sky's the limit on those too. And you can sell ad spots in your newsletter, right? You have people sponsor your newsletter. Put a little blurb in there when you send that out. You can sell more than the ads on your site. You can sell stuff in other areas as well. And then you can just sell anything. I say sell anything because the good thing about BD is that it's customizable. That you can if you can change it in BD, you could probably charge somebody for it, and our clients have done that. So you could sell the front page blog position, right? If you write a blog about them, and if they buy that, you will write a blog and put it on your front page from the admin. You can sell a homepage category background. People have sold the images of the category. If you have a pets business, you get to your pet company gets to be the image behind the pet category, and they've sold the category image. You can sell your main image scrolling in the background. Put somebody's business for a local town in your scrolling image, just so everybody is top of mind for everybody in that city. I've had people sell that. You could sell your announcement bar for per week or per day announcement. Like you could just sell it for a week, and they can put whatever they want on for the entire website up on the announcement bar. It doesn't take up that much room, but can command a lot of money. So people have sold that. So basically, anything you can customize on BD site, sell it. And try. Obviously, you don't want to get everything be ads, but you can get creative for stuff that makes sense. And then other people have used sponsorships. They could sell a sponsor that includes, ads and a top tier position, or maybe a footer logo, or just give sponsors control or input on the site, and let them, basically provide money for influence on your site. And then there's a lot of sites that are able to do that and get some revenue there, from some pretty big sponsors. We've had some clients getting $10,000 for a site sponsor for a year. So you can do that if you have the right niche and clientele, and you have the right proposition, and you sell it. You can just sponsor your site and give them a lot of added capability all over there that can market to their businesses. And then you can do social shout outs. You can control access to your online social audience or monetize the one you have. So you can charge for shout outs to your Facebook group or your Instagram group, and charge people to actually post out to the group. We have some people that have 17,000 Instagram followers, and so they charge people to post stuff to their Instagram account. You can charge early access lead notifications. I know Corey come on here a couple times, and that's what he does, and basically has that as part of his top tier lead package, where he provides leads to his Facebook group early before they get posted. So anything social that you can charge for as influencers in your particular niche, or harnessing the groups that you have, is something you can monetize as well. Then you can cross-sell. We've already kind of talked about the different areas there on the axes. You can sell affiliate products, sell agency services that complement your niche, etc. And then you can also upsell, right? You can, I would call it deconstructing your tier benefits that we talked about on the previous slide, and basically charge them more for allowing a certain post type, or for more categories, more locations, etc. So deconstructing, breaking some stuff out that you would normally put in a plan, and just charge for that separately. So a lot of stuff here, a lot of things maybe doesn't apply to you, but maybe some things that people haven't thought of that you could add to your monetization scheme.
Yeah, this is just such a powerful list you put together. Thanks for including this slide.
You're welcome. So I just want to finish up with an review slide here. So kind of talked about those 3 business model questions, and there's that value proposition you were talking about earlier. You want to know what you're offering to the customer, how you're creating that value proposition. This kind of goes back to the checkout pages about what you're providing and highlighting what you're providing. But we focused tonight on the why, and on why you're going to create revenue. We then went into those 3 C's of increased revenue. So customers, getting new ones, churn as in stopping the old ones from leaving and continuing to pay month after month, and then the conversion, where you're continuing to get either the same or increased value over time from the customers that you do have. And then after that, we took a look at that customer lifecycle focus, again, of those customers that are with you over time. As you get the customers, as you keep them, and as you grow them, we focused on that last section on how to grow customers and potentially monetize and add additional things, either over time where they can grow into a larger plan, or provide additional services that you either introduce, reintroduce, or add on at a later point, or again, maybe make cheaper so they can finally have access to whatever that process is through that 3D multi-axis monetization, to hopefully get additional revenue out of either current or future customers. And then it really comes back full circle, right, to those three initial questions. After you monetize, and you either figure out that it does or does not work, you sometimes have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe you're in the wrong niche totally, right? Sometimes people have to face that fact and change the focus there. Maybe you're not offering the right value proposition. The things that are in your levels are not correct. Maybe you have to change those around, and you can do that, right? You want to spend some time on that initially to get it generally right. You don't have to carte blanche change everything, but you will have to change it. I guarantee you're going to have to maneuver that stuff over time. And it's kind of a cyclical process of that and trying to get to that focused A/B testing, what's going to work for you long term. And then in the middle right there is the monetization channels of all of that. Those are the things, all those things we talked about on that last slide, or what you're kind of maneuvering around there. What are you offering? What are you charging for that? Or is it a new plan? How are you advertising that? How are you portraying that to new customers coming in the funnel? How are you making sure that the people that are a customer know that you have all of those features, because maybe they just bought without realizing all the stuff you had? How are you letting them know that you have that? How are you ensuring that they're taking advantage of those over time to keep them as a customer? And then how are you getting them to use additional ones and pay for ones that they haven't? So that's always the core of that thought process as you go around this kind of loop. And I know we talked about a lot of stuff again on this tonight. And so the last thing, I just want to let everybody know it again, all that is in the ebook, explained out on the stuff that we just talked about in here for you guys to read later. It's 24 pages long. It's all in there. Everything we covered here tonight goes in depth on there again for everybody to review and just think about. But what I'd like everybody to do is, again, just running a business is not easy. There's a lot of stuff to think about, but a lot of times it's more complicated than just getting traffic from Google. A lot of times there is other stuff that you can make decisions on, focus on, and change that really would make a difference in you getting that extra money from your directory and becoming a successful directory owner. And I think that's the ultimate goal of everybody, and hopefully everybody can use something in that ebook to help them along that journey.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I think really what sums up everything you kind of covered, let me just go back on this slide here. It really ties into what is the customer experience, from, let's say you do a Google paid ad and now they're on your website. So what is their journey through the different products and services that you offer? How are you going to deliver those offerings to them, and how to really maximize the benefit of that experience for them to kind of keep them as a customer, and again, reduce that churn rate. So I think this is really, really great illustration really about the customer experience and the customer journey in relation to the products and services that a website or platform offers. So I think fantastic illustration there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people focus on getting them in there, and there's always that other part that, that you have to know the return on value. When you get all those leads to your website, you want to make sure that you're able to tell your story, right? Make sure that you can convert them to a paying customer. That's probably the biggest thing I've realized getting all the long list of clients and stuff that I've been working with. There's a lot of great people out there that have a lot of great passion for what they're doing, and they have a lot to offer the people, and it comes down to just having the customers realize all the stuff that they're able to provide them. And that's a struggle sometimes, and it's something that you have to think about how you're effectively doing that in order to promote your passion and your niche that everybody's so enthused about running the directory for.